p.m., October 11th, 2023, and the meeting of the Urban Design Commission will now come to order. May we please have a roll call?
Monica Sullivan.
Here.
Edith McKee.
Here.
Allison Gordy.
Here.
Julia Foland.
Here.
Alexandra Nanalo.
Here.
Ryan Lucas.
Here.
Trevor Stray.
Here.
Mark Cox is excused. You have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. May we get a motion to approve the minutes from September 13th, 2023? It's been moved by Commissioner Gordy and seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. Are there any corrections to the minutes? I'm not seeing any indication. Are there any objections to the minutes being approved? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Next, we'll be moving on to the special order of business. Are there any disclosures this evening? The Commission has indicated that there are none. We are moving on. The notice of public art is for informational purposes only, and a memorandum has been included in your meeting packet. Should the commissioners have any questions, please contact Mr. Geralt. And next, we're moving on to the consent agenda. May we have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-006 on the consent agenda? It's been moved by Commissioner Foland and seconded by Commissioner Gordy. Would anyone like to pull an item from the consent agenda for discussion or corrections? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We don't have any unfinished business this evening, but therefore we will move on to public hearings, and I will read the public process. The Urban Design Commission meets the second and fourth Wednesday of each month, except holidays, as regular meetings. If the Urban Design Commission fails to complete its agenda for its regular meeting, the Commission carries over the remainder of the agenda to the following meeting date. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Urban Design Commission at its meetings is: 1. After the staff presentation is completed on public hearing items, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. 2. Persons who wish to testify will follow the time limits established in the Urban Design Commission Rules of Procedure. A. Petitioners, including all his, her, their representatives, have 10 minutes. Rebuttal by the petitioner may be allowed when time has been reserved. Representatives of groups, community councils, PTAs, etc. will have 5 minutes, and individuals will have 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the Commission. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the Commission. Any party of interest wishing to appeal shall first file with the Planning Director within 7 days of the Commission's decision made on the record. A written notice of intent to appeal in accordance with AMC 21.03.050A.4A Commission recommendations to the Anchorage Assembly are not appealable. Following approval of the written findings of fact and decision, any party of interest may, within 20 days, file an appeal by filing a notice of appeal and paying the appeal fee and deposit in accordance with Section 21.03.050. The notice of appeal must be filed with the Planning Director on a form prescribed by the municipality. If the appellant is not the applicant, the appellant's notice of appeal shall include proof of service on the applicant. With respect to case 2023-0098, the petitioner is requesting a design variance from AMC 21.07.080H.3 to allow a fence to exceed the maximum height requirements in the secondary frontage setback. May we please have staff's presentation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as previously stated, the petitioner is applying for a variance to allow a fence taller than allowed by code in the secondary front setback on the north property boundary of their property. This request is being sought as the owner wishes to maintain the constructed portion of 8-foot fence along Lower Road. The owner seeks the fence variance for a privacy barrier to foot and vehicle traffic noise and headlight glare. Lower Road is considered a secondary front yard and Adobe Drive as the front yard. In staff's findings of approval criteria, staff has found that standard A has been met. The proposed alternative achieves the intent of the subject design standard. The owner is requesting the variance to maintain a constructed fence, which is common in this neighborhood. Lower Road is classified as a collector in the 2014 Official Streets and Highways Plan. An 8-foot fence along the collector meets the needs for privacy and reduction of noise and light pollution. The applicant would be allowed to construct an 8 fence that abuts a street of arterial or greater classification. However, in the 2014 OSHMP, it's listed Lower Road as a collector before the recent construction of the Seward Highway overpass and roundabout interchange and upgrades for Lower Road. As such, traffic volumes may have increased substantially. The OSHP has not been updated to reflect the new construction and potential daily traffic numbers along Lower Road. Staff finds condition B has been met. The granting of this variance will not change the classification of this parcel in the comprehensive plan, but is rather enforcing the intent of the single-family districts. The project is compliant with the following goals, objectives of the 2040 land use plan. That's Objective 4.4, which encourages property owners to preserve, rehabilitate, or develop properties that minimize housing displacement and maintain health and safety for residents. Staff finds condition C has been met. The proposed variance will benefit the community that is equivalent to or better than compliance with the subject standard. Given the recent upgrades to the overall road design, the property is subject to high levels of traffic which create nose and headlight glare from in-street traffic. Staff also finds that condition D has been met. The granting of this variance will not adversely affect the use of adjacent property. Clear vision triangles do not appear to be affected. There are no structure separation violations. And the location and height of the fence is in character with the neighborhood. Staff finds condition E has been met. The variance will not change the character of the R5 district that the project is located in. This request is dimensional and not a use variance. A decorative fence does not change the character of the zoning district. Standard F has been met. The granting of the variance would not restrict or impede ADA accessibility. And condition G has been met. This granting of the variance will not adversely affect the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the municipality. Traffic engineering does not object to the granting of the variance, and an 8-foot fence protects the property owner from vehicles, animal, and foot traffic, as well as noise and headlight glare. Staff finds condition H has been met as the variance does not involve a sign. So with that, the Planning Department recommends approval of the variance subject to conditions 1 and 2 found on page 6 of the staff packet. I'll be able to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is here tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? I have a question. On page 3 at the top, it says this request is being sought as the owner wishes to maintain the constructed 8-foot fence along Lower Road. And in findings A, it says an 8-foot fence along the collector meets the needs for privacy and reduction. The applicant would be allowed to construct. Just for clarification, I believe it's an already constructed fence?
That is correct. It's already constructed.
Great, thank you. Will the petitioner please come forward? Hi. Please state and spell your name for the record. You will have 10 minutes to present. Would you like to reserve any of your time for rebuttal?
Sure, I just have a few things to say. My name is Beau Jolie Bauer. It's Beaux, Jolais-Bauer. I live at 7604 Adobe Drive. It's not the best neighborhood. It's not the worst. When I moved in, there was a 6-foot fence that paralleled Lore Road. It was dilapidated, so I reconstructed a fence. I have a deck that stands about 16 inches off the ground. So with the builder of the fence, I staircased the fence. I made an 8-foot panel. That's the width of my fence. The width of my deck. So it's 8 feet high by 16 feet wide. It staircases down. Again, another panel is 7 feet high by 16 feet wide, and then it staircases 6 feet all the way around the property. It's decorative, it's safe for my dogs, it keeps the neighbors from looking into my master bedroom and my master bath, it protects me from light. I appreciate the fact that the road is maintained, and in the winter, a nice snow berm parallels my fence, which you can climb up and over my fence and into my backyard from that snow berm. So what I'd like to do is keep the fence as is so I can construct just a 60 square foot foyer to add a little more curb appeal to my little ranch. And that's basically it. That's why I'm applying for a design variance.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the petitioner? Commissioner Sullivan?
Hi, I have a fast question. So when did you build the 8-foot fence?
There's only one section that's 8 feet.
Okay, yes.
In 2019, the summer of.
And then you just didn't know the codes then, or you knew the codes?
I didn't know that I needed a permit to build that. I didn't know that I had to go to the municipality for that fence, or I had no information on that. And the person who built the fence did not tell me that there was anything askew. I kind of rely on the builder to help me. I'm not a general contractor, but apparently I am these days. So I didn't know.
Thank you. All what you say, makes sense. Thank you.
I have a question for you. If you weren't to be granted the variance, how would you feel that that would impact your quality of life?
If I was what?
If we didn't grant the variance, what would be your next steps, and how would that impact you?
Well, I would have to lower my fence line. That means that my neighbors across Lore can see directly into my bedroom. I can't run around naked if I wanted to. I couldn't use the loo. I'd have to close my door and close my blinds 24/7. What kind of life is hiding behind a curtain? If I dropped that fence and I stood and it was 6 feet, but I'm on my deck, I can look out and I can see everything that's happening. I don't have any windows on the north end of my little domicile, and there are a lot of drug trafficking in the neighborhood, and it always seems to happen on the corner of Lore and Adorby and Lore and O'Brien. I get to pick up heroin needles on a regular basis. So I don't want to watch that go down. So I'd like to have my fence as is. And in today's world, there's a lot of foot traffic, and not all of it is good. So I'd like to maintain my fence as is for privacy and safety for my family, my pets, and myself.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? Thank you. We will now open the hearing to public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to testify? Yes, please come forward. Hello. Please state and spell your name for the record, and whether you are testifying as an individual or as a representative of a group.
My name is Rick Spurgeon, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, U-R-G-E-O-N, as an individual. And I live at 7630 Rancho Drive, one house in off of Lore. I'm familiar with Bo's property. I myself have lived here for about 10 years. My wife has lived there for 25, 28. The opening of the roundabout under the Seward Highway has impacted our neighborhood very adversely. The noise level, traffic, boom boxes. There's days that it's constant. I live one house off Lore, and sometimes it's so noisy I can't hear my music inside my house. Her argument that her privacy and that her quality of life is impacted, we're all reasonable people here. I don't think it takes a college education to realize that's so. I support her fence. Honestly, I think she should be allowed to extend it to the end of her property line to allow her more privacy in the backyard that she can't use because you can't really do anything when everybody's looking in your yard, can't have a barbecue. So I'm not saying that she should go do that, but I stand firmly in support of her request. Noted, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to testify? I'm not seeing any. Would the petitioner like to use your remaining time?
I really don't have much to say. I would just like to keep my fence as is, so I can build that Arctic entry. That's basically the bottom line.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any more questions from the commission for the petitioner or staff? Commissioner Gordy?
Yeah, I just have actually a quick question for staff, and I don't know if you know the answer to this one, but how often is that OSH&P updated? Do you know?
Through the chair, Ms. Gordy, yes, that's the question I asked as well. AMATS, which is the one who originally wrote that, they don't have any, at this time, plans to update that plan. So I did try to get all the traffic, and the traffic counts that they had were from like early COVID. So the numbers are way off, and they just finished the roundabout, and people quite hadn't found out about it yet or using it, and those numbers don't qualify for what's really going on out there today. Yep.
That makes sense. Understood. Thank you.
Commissioner Straight?
Yeah, I guess just to add to some of that conversation, I do some traffic studies on occasion, and I was actually looking at that underpass to kind of see how traffic had increased in relation to some other project that I was working on, and it basically went up about 50%, it looks like, between prior to the construction of the underpass and today's values based on DOT's current traffic data collection out there. So it's definitely gone up significantly. That being said, I don't really expect it to, based on the current traffic, to be reclassified as like an arterial, just because it's still not quite to that level. There's still, I believe, on-street parking, if I'm recalling correctly, and so I think it's probably not going to be reclassified. If there was a project that came through, they could potentially bump it up, but that's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ninalo?
Yes. I actually just have a question kind of going off of what was mentioned there in terms of what would be the protocol if we did, what's the process if we did want to make it possible for people along the street to have a higher fence? I mean, is that something, that may not be appropriate for today, but I think it might be appropriate going forward for the people in that community. Is there a process for that we can assist in, or is that something that would need to be done separately by the municipality?
Through the chair, so this is the process each homeowner would have to go through, would be the variance process. To change the code, it would be a code change to allow that. And that would have to be something that goes through the assembly. And I don't know if we could specify just one street. See, right, it's broken down now in the code by arterial collector, things like that. Yeah, so that's why there is this process, though, and that's why she's here before you today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I do see that you have your hand raised, but we've closed the public testimony, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are there any more questions for staff? Commissioner Straight?
Sorry, one more question. It's been mentioned a couple times that this is to approve the existing fence in its current condition. Approval of this particular item, would it allow her to, or the property owner in the future perhaps, to reconstruct that fence to 8 foot all the way along that secondary side?
Through the chair, Mr. Straight, yes. So if we look at page 6, the department recommendation there, item 1, it's a variance to the fence height to allow an 8-foot fence in the secondary front setback along Lower Road. So that's going to be the entire front setback.
Great.
Yeah, and it runs with, we'll record the resolution, it runs with the property.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any, so the public hearing is now closed and the matter now rests with the body. We will move and vote. May we have a motion to approve case 2023-0098? Was moved by Commissioner Gordy. Mover, would you please state your motion?
Yes. I move in case 2023-0098 to approve the variance from AMC 2107080H.3 to allow a fence taller than allowed by code in the secondary front setback on the north property boundary, subject to the conditions shown on page 6 of the staff report.
Thank you. This was seconded by Commissioner Nanalo. Commissioner Gordy, would you please speak to your motion?
Yes. I intend to support the motion. It appears to me that given the traffic, some of the public safety concerns, and the privacy concerns regarding this fence, it seems very reasonable to me to grant an 8-foot fence in this particular setback. Per the approval criteria for a variance, I find the conditions are met. For condition A, the proposed alternative achieves the intent of the subject design standard to the same or better degree than the subject standard. An 8-foot fence is allowed along arterial roads, and while Lower Road may not be classified as an arterial and maybe will not be in the future, I don't think there's any denying that the road construction improvements have really increased traffic in that area to a degree where it seems reasonable and meets that intent. Item B, the standard is met. The parcel is classified as single-family and two-family in the 2040 Anchorage Land Use Plan. This variance doesn't change that classification and still achieves those goals and policies. Item C, the proposed alternative results in benefits to the community that are equivalent to or better than compliance with the subject standard. I find that standard to be met. As mentioned by staff, the property is subject to high levels of traffic, which creates noise and headlight glare. So this benefits the fact that that's not carrying further down the street in addition to straight into your home. Item D, if the variance is granted, it will not adversely affect the use of adjacent property. That standard is clearly met. Item E, the variance, if granted, does not change the character of the zoning district and is in keeping with the intent of the code. It does not change the character of the R5 district, and it matches other properties in the area with taller fences. Item F, this one's not, it meets, the standard is met by the fact that it does not affect ADA. And item G, the variance, if granted, does not adversely affect the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the municipality. Again, I think this provides a little bit of safety and creates this nice screening element along the street as well. I think it doesn't impede anybody's welfare and actually probably protects yours. And item H, the variance does not address signage. So this standard is met by the fact that it is not involving signage. Those are my findings.
Thank you, Commissioner Gordy. Commissioner Nanalo, would you like to speak to your second?
Well, Commissioner Gordy did a very comprehensive review, so I feel like she pretty much covered everything that I would have said. I also intend to support it. It seems very reasonable. So that's all.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners wishing to speak to the motion and/or add findings? I will. I think I intend to support the motion. I think that what you've done not only protects your family and your pet, but also the community. I think last season we all recognized that the snow height greatly impacted the actual effective heights of our fences, and having a higher fence definitely protects your family, your property, prevents your dog from escaping your yard and potentially being in the road, which protects the community as well as you and your pets. So I'm a pet owner, so I definitely see that and appreciate that extra effort. I think your fence is an enhancement to the neighborhood. It's beautiful and enhances your property. So thank you. And again, all standards were met. So if there are no further discussion, may we have a vote on case number 2023-0098.
Ms. Lucas, how do you vote?
Commissioner Lucas, I approve. Thank you.
Thank you.
So case 2023-0098 passed with a vote of 7 in favor, 0 against, and 0 abstaining. Thank you. So we'll be moving on. There are no appearance requests, no reports. No commissioners' comments, so we will be moving on to adjournment. Could I please get a motion to adjourn? Was moved by Commissioner Gordy and seconded by Commissioner Foland. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 6:59 PM.